You've seen tall buildings before, but nothing like this. This is not just a skyscraper. This is the highest point humans have ever lived in. And what's at the top is something almost no one talks about. Welcome to the top of the Burj Khalifa. From the ground, it looks unreal, like something out of a movie. Glass, steel, power. But the real story begins when you go up, way up, past the floors tourists can visit, past the observation decks, past the luxury residences most people can barely afford. There are levels here that don't show up on normal tours. Floors where access is restricted, floors where silence replaces the noise of the city, and floors where reality starts to feel different. Because the higher you go, the more the world below disappears. Cars become dots, people become invisible, sound fades, and slowly, you realize something strange. You are no longer part of the city. You are above it, completely separated. Now imagine living here, not visiting, living, waking up every morning, hundreds of meters above the ground, looking out of a window, and seeing clouds below you. That's not luxury, that's something else. Because this building wasn't just made to be tall, it was made to dominate, to prove something, to show that humans can build higher than ever before. And they did. Over 828 meters, more than half a mile into the sky. But here's what most people don't realize. The higher the building, the more extreme the conditions become. Wind pressure increases, temperature shifts, air density changes, meaning the top floors are not the same as the bottom at all. Even the structure itself moves slightly, designed to sway with the wind, because if it didn't, it would break. Now think about that. You're sitting in a luxury apartment, worth millions of dollars, and the entire building is gently moving. Not enough to scare you, but enough to remind you, you are not in control. And that's just the beginning, because living at the top of this building is not just about money, it's about access, private elevators, restricted floors, security layers most people never see, because not everyone is allowed up there. And the higher you go, the fewer people you find, until eventually, it feels empty, like the building is getting quieter, more isolated, more disconnected. And then, you reach the level most people will never experience. The ultra-luxury penthouse zones, massive glass walls, 360-degree views of Dubai, custom interiors, everything perfect, everything controlled, everything expensive. But here's the part no one tells you. At that height, windows don't open. They can't. Because the wind would be too strong, the pressure too unstable. Meaning one thing, you are completely sealed inside. No fresh air, no direct connection to the outside world. Just glass between you and reality. Now ask yourself, is that still freedom? Or is that controlled luxury? Because the higher you live, the more you depend on systems, elevators, air systems, electricity. Everything must work perfectly, all the time, because if something fails, you're not just inconvenienced, you're trapped, hundreds of meters above the ground. And then comes something even more interesting. Time feels different up there. Days feel slower, nights feel longer, because the world below moves without you. Traffic flows, people rush, life continues. But you are floating above it all, watching, not participating. And that creates something unexpected. Distance, not just physical, mental. Because when you remove yourself from normal life, you start losing connection to it. Now, it's talk about cost, not just money. Because, yes, these penthouses can cost tens of millions, some reaching insane levels depending on customization. But the real cost is something deeper. Maintenance, staff, security, energy. Everything at that height is more expensive, more complex, more fragile, and yet, people still want it. Why? Because it represents something powerful. Status, control, exclusivity. The idea that you've reached the top. Literally. But here's the truth most people ignore. Reaching the top doesn't always mean you've found what you're looking for. Because once you're there, there's nowhere higher to go. No next level. No upgrade. Just staying there. And that's when things start to change. Because humans are not built to stay at the top forever. We're built to chase, to grow, to move. But at the top of the Burj Khalifa, you've already reached the peak. And when there's no next step, you start looking inward, questioning things, thinking differently, because the view may be perfect, but perfection gets normal fast. And when everything becomes normal, it loses meaning. So now, the real question is not, can you afford to live at the top of this building? The real question is, what happens after you get there? Because this place is not just a symbol of success, it's a test of what happens when humans push limits and actually reach them. Because the top of the Burj Khalifa is not just high, it's lonely. And that loneliness, it doesn't hit you immediately. At first, everything feels unreal, like you've stepped into a different dimension, a place where nothing below can touch you. No traffic noise, no crowded streets, no chaos, just silence. Perfect, controlled silence. But silence can be dangerous, because when there's nothing around you, you start hearing yourself more, your thoughts, your doubts, your questions. And at this height, they get louder. Now imagine this. It's night, you're standing inside a glass-wall penthouse. The entire city of Dubai glowing below you, light stretching endlessly into the desert. It looks beautiful, perfect, almost unreal. But then something strange happens. You realize none of it belongs to you. You can see everything, but you're not part of it. You're above it, disconnected, like watching a movie, instead of living in it. And that's when the illusion starts to crack. Because the Burj Khalifa was never just about living. It was about proving something. Power, engineering, status. But human life is not built on proof. It's built on connection. And the higher you go, the more that connection fades. Now, let's talk about something no one on YouTube really explains. The psychological effect of extreme height living. At ground level, your brain understands space, distance, movement. But at 100 plus floors above ground, your perception changes. Depth feels unreal, distance feels distorted, and over time, it starts affecting how you think, how you feel, even how you react. Because your brain knows, one mistake, and there's no recovery. That pressure, even if subconscious, never fully disappears. And then there's the elevators. Fast, extremely fast, one of the fastest in the world. But think about it, every time you leave your home, you depend on a machine to bring you back down safely and back up again, hundreds of meters, every single day. That's not normal living, that's vertical dependence. Now imagine what happens during a system failure, or even a delay. You're waiting, in silence, inside a sealed building, at extreme height, with no direct exit. That feeling is something money can't fix. Because it's not about comfort, it's about control. And in that moment, you realize something important. You don't have as much control as you thought. And then comes something even deeper. The people who reach this level, they've already won in life. Money, success, status. They have everything. But when you remove the struggle, when you remove the chase, what's left? Because humans need purpose. We need movement. We need something to reach for. But at the top of the Burj Khalifa, you're already there. There is no next level, no higher point, just staying at the top. And slowly, that becomes normal. And when something this extreme becomes normal, it loses its power. Now think about the design itself. This building wasn't made for comfort. It was made for impact, to be seen, to dominate the skyline, to become a symbol. And it worked. The entire world recognizes it. But symbols don't always translate into reality, because what looks powerful from outside can feel very different from inside, especially when you live there, day after day, night after night. Same view, same silence, same height. And slowly, the question changes from, how did I get here? To, why am I here? Because at some point, luxury stops being exciting and starts becoming routine. And routine kills emotion, kills excitement, kills meaning. So now, the building reveals its real nature, not just as the tallest structure on Earth, but as a mirror, showing you something deeper, because when you reach the highest point possible, you don't just see the world below, you see yourself more clearly, your thoughts, your choices, your reality, and that's something no one expects when they dream about living at the top. And that clarity, it's not always comfortable, because when everything becomes silent, you can't escape your own mind anymore. No distractions, no noise, no chaos to hide behind, just you and your thoughts. Now imagine living like this every single day, at the very top of the Burj Khalifa, where the world feels far away, and reality feels different. Because up here, you don't feel powerful, you feel separated. Separated from people, separated from life, separated from everything that once felt normal. And slowly, that perfect life starts to feel artificial, like a controlled environment. Not real, not raw, not human, because real life is not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be unpredictable, messy, alive. But here, everything is planned, everything is controlled, everything is safe. And safety can sometimes feel like a cage, a golden cage. Now think about this. If you had everything, money, luxury, the highest home on earth, would that really make you feel complete? Or would it just remove the struggle that gave your life meaning? Because the truth is, humans don't just need comfort. We need purpose. We need connection. We need something real. And at the top of this building, reality feels distant, almost unreachable. That's the part no one shows you, the part hidden behind glass walls and perfect views. Because from the outside, the Burj Khalifa looks like the ultimate dream, the final level, the symbol of success. But from the inside, it can feel like the end of the journey, not the beginning. And when you reach the end so early, you start asking questions. Questions money can't answer, questions luxury can't hide, questions that only come when you finally get everything you ever wanted. So maybe the real goal was never to reach the top. Maybe the real value was in the climb, the struggle, the movement. Because once you stop climbing, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, even the highest place on earth starts to feel small. So the next time you look at the Burj Khalifa, don't just see its height, don't just see its luxury, see what it really represents. The limit, the point where ambition ends and reality begins.